America will soon be annihilated, and America has the chance to seize the entire world. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted cum from our citizens.
48 minutes of dogs barking, 48 minutes of dogs barking, 48 minutes of dogs barking, 48 minutes of dogs barking. Growl! Growl! 48 minutes of dogs barking, 48 minutes of dogs barking.
What they should do is every classroom should have a homosexual in it, and that homosexual should have a gun, and that homosexual should be just constantly threatening the children, and then there won't be any more homophobia.
Right.
Because, I mean, people will be afraid of gay people.
Sure.
But in a more productive way. It's like
Right.
the same reason you don't tease a neighbor's dog that's, like, always breaking its leash. This is how Biden could have won.
We're healing the nation, folks. Well, it's 48 minutes of dogs barking. My name's Jason. This is Brian.
Hey. Yeah, we all sound great.
Yeah, we're all sick as hell over here. We're recording remotely because, well, I just don't want to make things worse.
just leave it at that. I just didn't want to make things, less good.
So, we got a lot coming through this week because, well, shit just keeps on happening. My personal favorite is this one. A user on Twitter, @PlumJ, PlumJAE. I was in an Uber share today, and a song came on that had the most sinister vibes ever, and all three of us were sitting in dead silence. I wish I could remember the song. I'm going to try to find it. And then the next post, maybe an hour later, I found it. 7 crying emojis. I was scared as fuck the Uber was going to drive us off the road. I do not like the energy this song brought into the car. And it is a video for Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. Sinister, Brian.
So, I mean, truth be told, if there's any car that's going to drive off the road, it's one that's listening to Billy Joel.
You think? You think that's because I don't know, man. I feel like he's easy listening.
Famous drunk driver.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot like why was the trucker flashing his brights? Then when I got out of the car, like there was a hook in the door.
That's right, car hook, hand door. I don't know. He did have a lot of car accidents, but supposedly drinking was not a factor. He did hit a tree driving a Mercedes. So I don't know. Billy Joel, questionable. Being afraid of Billy Joel, though, it's like there's so much more sinister 70s era shit than him. I just don't feel it. I don't know.
This younger generation, they just they're just not sufficiently tortured by the music of their parent. People always think, oh wow, your mom must have been so cool to have tortured you with like Stone Temple Pilots and Pearl Jam to the extent that as a man near his 40s, you still can't listen to that dog shit. But it sucked. It sucked. Like having to listen to oh cool, I get to listen to Aerosmith on the way to school. Sick. Fucking literally fucking kill me. Where were the school shooters then?
Oh God. Well, let's see here. 99. So I would have been Anyway, that was the year that I got pulled into the principal's office because I wore a leather jacket to school, and everyone thought I was going to go Eric and Dylan on the student body.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, and the music I was tortured by, that's right, folks, Leonard Cohen. So,
I mean, there's been times where I've been stuck listening to Leonard Cohen thinking I'd like to kill someone.
Right, so you're getting what I'm saying.
I'm getting it, yeah. It is absolutely... If I were, stuck on the tram in the arch with someone that really wanted to tell me how big of a song Hallelujah was to them, there was, a power failure, and I just had to listen to them talk about, man, it's just the metaphors. I would be leaving the building in handcuffs.
I can't blame you. It's a good song, but come on.
Leonard Cohen is the Salvador Dali of really boring people who love music.
Damn.
Like, oh, cool. It's like, oh, you love Leonard Cohen. Let me guess, your favorite surrealist artist is Salvador Dali. You got the coffee book. You got the coffee table book. Oh, cool. Oh, you got oh, cool. You got the melting clocks. Wow, fucking crazy. Wow, you're like a real fucking free spirit, aren't you?
I feel real shame knowing now that actually I really like Leonard Cohen. So let's change the topic to something a little bit less contentious. That's right.
Something that Leonard Cohen didn't see, which is heaven.
Oh, that's right, folks. At Pal Nandy on Twitter, leaked photo of heaven is going viral on social media. No wonder Christians are so determined to get there. Smiley face with the heart eyes emoji, and the quote-unquote leaked photo of heaven is what appears to be a really shitty Destiny 2 map.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, are we going back to the moon?
Yeah, so it's in space. Apparently heaven's in space, and it's a lot of white buildings and a lot of lights. Thomas Kincaid-ass heaven. It looks like it's covered in snow as well, so it's very confusing. The layout makes no sense. It's a really bad... I can see a 6v6 happening there. I'm not really getting heaven vibes from it. But I think just the phrasing is so funny. Like, leaked...
No wonder Christians are so determined to get there. What about they're dying to get in?
Yeah, see? You missed a layup right there is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like leaked photo of heaven. Like, you're not supposed to see this, but we're breaking street dates. Photo of heaven. Blue Sky user Seamus.bsky.social. By far the funniest part of this insane post is that even the maniacs who believe this stuff are so media pilled they refer to it as a leaked photo, as if God, CEO of Heaven Studios, had included it in a press kit for awards season, but it was embargoed until January 27th. Can't have that getting out. It's too good. They data mined Heaven. They got an early copy. The screener of Heaven was just...
The Heaven screener.
It's just not for distribution all on the bottom the whole time.
Wow, Ascension season is almost here.
We're almost there, folks. It's going viral on social media. This leaked photo of heaven. It's just truly bizarre. And honestly, people have been doing this shit since the 90s. Weekly World News had shit like that with like, oh, the Hubble telescope took photos of heaven. Can we just not accept the metaphysical anymore? Is this not just a thing? Can we just... It's real. And we have photos to prove it.
I think what it all comes back to is the reemergence of peasant brain.
Yes.
I mean, that's just... I feel like that's like the real easy... Hold on a second. The dog is moaning in the background.
I think the dog moaning makes the scene.
He's wearing his little fuckboy hoodie. It looks like a vaporwave DJ.
Jesus.
Anyways.
Vaporwave DJ dog. Amazing. The image is so clear in my mind. Yeah.
Goofy seal-looking beast. Anyways.
Yes.
A leaked photo of heaven. Looks like shit.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll go back to not believing in God. Not convinced.
Not impressed, frankly.
No.
Gotta say it.
Kind of mid.
A mid-journey, more like it. Oh.
What else we got there,
my
Chief?
collar here, folks. And the last thing in the What's Hot Classic this week, our old friend Naomi Wolf is back at it again.
Yeah, she sure be doing that.
So online, Naomi Wolf has either misunderstood, misread, or just completely lost her fucking mind about the LA fires, claiming this first one here, Catherine Picasso wrote this post. The California National Guard arrived at Ontario Airport tonight, ready to deploy and support law enforcement in Los Angeles. Dr. Naomi Wolf quotes it with, "So Canada and Mexico have sent in military or National Guard? It's an invasion, people. It's a war." Not understanding that Ontario is also a city in California, and the CA in CA National Guard is for California. That was on the 11th. That same day, Twitter user Shadow of Ezra posting, a California woman captured a haunting apocalyptic scene over Los Angeles as new mandatory evacuation orders take effect. Dr. Naomi Wolf quoting this, Fires ramp up adrenaline, per Dr. McCullough. Adrenaline surges cause the cardiac arrests we see in the formerly healthily vaccinated, including young people. Is the fire also a narrative getting rid of the evidence of former damage to healthy humans?
So, wasn't Naomi Wolf like an important person? Like, was this like a person that we were like supposed to respect that would be like on Sally?
Yeah, I mean, she was, a big deal in the late Clinton, early Obama eras. I mean, she wrote End of America, 2007. She wrote Vagina, a new biography. I don't know if you read that one.
I can't say I know. I read a lot about vaginas. No, I can't say that I do.
Well, the one thing that I always remember is that she really came out during third wave feminism and wrote one of the only books of hers that I've ever read, The Beauty Myth.
Yeah.
Which is actually still kind of prescient and relevant, despite her being completely fucking insane. And then, yeah, I mean, she wrote a number of books. Outrages, sex censorship, and the criminalization of love. Then she started getting into conspiracy nonsense, and it really cooked her brain. Once masking orders went into effect, I think is when she really lost it. She's gone on a Steve Bannon show ever since and all that stuff. So, it's just, she's cooked, as the kids say.
Absolutely melted. Yeah,
but there's two more of her posts that they're even more goofy. Here's one from the 10th. Are your friends in L.A. not reacting to danger in an expected way? Are they almost in a trance? Multiple confirmations independently that suggest this is the case, including from a therapist who says her patients are not reacting normally. Could a mood stabilizer of some kind be in what was sprayed, or do weather manipulation waves entrain human thought patterns in some way? We are there in history and must ask the questions. And then on the 11th, Dave Toussaint posting Palisades fire in the last 2 hours, looking due west, and a video from the UC San Diego alert camera. Dr. Naomi Wolf quoting it, "This looks like some sort of bomb or attack, not a wildfire." She has claimed that the fires are a war, a plot to kill people and destroy evidence of COVID vaccine effects, weather manipulation, a bombing campaign, and that they're also spraying mood stabilizers. Completely fucking cooked.
Nature will do anything but go to therapy.
Exactly. Oh, well, it's one of those things, Naomi Wolf, you used to be able to count on her for at least a good take, but now it's just a nut job. It's just completely insane. And I know it's almost like mean to dunk on her at this point, because she was the one saying, 2019, saying, I went to Belfast and they didn't have 5G and it felt calm and restful like it did in the 70s. And I'm like, Belfast in the 70s was calm? All right, sure.
Yeah, just absolutely fucking fried. Amazing. What a great normal world we have right now.
And the fact that people are like, oh yeah, this is Naomi Wolf, or actually getting Naomi Klein and Naomi Wolf confused, which was probably the worst thing to happen to either of them.
Yeah, I think Naomi Wolf or Naomi Klein wrote an entire book about that. Basically.
She did. It was called Doppelganger. It was fucking hilarious. Yeah, Doppelganger, a trip into the mirror world.
Amazing.
But anyway, on to even worse things. That's right, folks. It's Crypto Scam of the Week.
You're listening to 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking, the podcast.
And now it's time for the Crypto Scam of the Week.
Here we go.
This from the Daily Hodl, so you know it's got to be good. New York Attorney General freezes $2.2 million worth of crypto stolen from victims across the U.S. in a, quote, cruel scam. New York Attorney General Letitia James froze $2.2 million. James says in a press release that scammers targeted New Yorkers and other victims across the nation looking for remote work and sent texts falsely promising lucrative and flexible jobs. Instead, they allegedly tricked victims into buying stable coins and depositing them into controlled accounts. Here's the direct quote. The victims were then told that to earn money, they had to open accounts with a number of registered and licensed cryptocurrency platforms and had to maintain a cryptocurrency amount equal to or greater than the price of the products they were reviewing. The victims were assured they were not purchasing the products, but that the account balances would legitimize the data they were generating, and they would get their original payment back plus commission. Victims were also instructed to create a crypto wallet to their working accounts to receive compensation. It was USDT and USDC were the ones purchased. New York Attorney General says she would be the first state or federal regulator to serve a lawsuit notifying the scammers by depositing NFTs into the wallets used to steal the victim's crypto. They're going to fight this by depositing an NFT of a lawsuit. So, code is law, I guess. I don't know. Truly, truly bizarre part of it. Like, I guess that's a way to do it.
It's certainly creative.
It's really shitty to me to take advantage of people who are hurting. Because, you know, this is a time... We're in a spot right now where people are just, they're looking for work, right? And they're open to anything. And there's a lot of desperate people out there. And it's just, it's shameful is what it is.
Yeah. And, you know, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get weirder.
Yeah.
We've got the crypto president.
Oh, Jesus.
Who knows what's going to happen in the next couple weeks as far as regulation towards markets like crypto. It could be a fucking free-for-all. It get really fucking weird. I mean, it's gonna get weird. It's just how weird is it going to get?
Yeah, and I guess that's really the question. And how is it going to stop? That's really, it's like, where is the end game here? Where are we as a country going to say enough is enough with this shit?
Never.
Never. Yeah.
As long as we can keep thinking that we'll be the ones that don't get scammed, we'll allow it to happen.
And we wind up in the same fucking place every time. We wind up at the same place every time.
Every time.
Speaking of winding up at the same place every time, this week's main story is about a webcomic, Brian. Oh, boy. It's about a webcomic called Shredded Moose. Are you familiar at all with Shredded Moose?
I am not at all.
It's one of the few comics that we have covered here that has not only an entry on the Bad Webcomics Wiki, but it has been restarted not once but twice under different names with different artists. So Shredded Moose, if you've ever read a webcomic that was about video games after the 90s, you already know what it's about, right? It's a couple guys. They're playing video games. It's real. There's two guys, Brew and Trip. Brew, the misogynist, backwards baseball cap wearing dude, and Trip kind of playing the straight man, although he does pretend to be gay to get a girlfriend. But you know what I mean, the straight man. I don't know. It's bizarre. So it was created by two guys, Brian Crumb and Chris Hall. So around about 2007 is when this comic started. The Bad Comics Wiki here quoted, somehow a frat boy developed intelligence slightly lower than a monkey and a bit higher than a protoplasm and began using it to draw a webcomic. The subject matter is just as you would expect it to be, gross, misogynistic to the point that it would make Maddox vomit, offensive to human intelligence, and perverted as all hell. The frat boy hired a young artist named Trip to help him draw his abomination of man. The young artist apparently had never seen any webcomic except Penny Arcade, and as such, everything he has drawn imitates Penny Arcade in every way. Oh yeah, and he's never seen a naked woman. You can imagine how this went down. This has inspired much, much controversy over the years, even though it only ran for 2 years, from 2007 to 2009. This blog here, the Shredded Moose Project, .blogspot.com, is one of the few things that remains that actually still has a lot of this content up. In it, there's some comics that are just tasteless and weird. You know, the dinosaur comic where it's a dinosaur devouring an animal, and then it cuts to Brew salivating over a half-naked woman, and she's saying, just what the hell are you doing? Or fat shaming in the second comic listed here. You know, he's trying to pick up on some girl, and she says, well, you gotta have a date for my friend Wendy, and so his idea is to just give her a bunch of food.
This, man, like, this really hits a certain chord that I don't enjoy. This is very angry. The Iraq War is going nowhere.
Yeah.
What if George Bush was a monkey? But Ron Paul. Gamer
The
Fuel.
Revolution.
Monkey fucking cheese. Random. Wii Sports.
Yep.
Atheism. Stupid God ghost man in the cloud. Wow, religion bad. Just dragging your knuckles to the nearest GameStop to buy your PS3 game that is just 80 different shades of brown.
Yeah, and that's what the first year pretty much was. Feminists are ugly like the orcs from Warcraft. Boy, isn't Jesus the whole foot washing thing really weird? Or
yeah, wow, I can't believe you go to church. That's so cringe.
And then if you scroll down on the links, the links document, I've included some of the more tasteless ones. So there's not one but two comics about, Brew has unprotected sex and has a nightmare that he has a child. And then in the third panel, he's using a plunger on a woman's vagina, yelling, "Give me back my sperms." And then in another, of course, a webcomic has to have a furry mascot. Well, the furry mascot character apparently had sex with a woman, and the woman's giving birth to the furry mascot character's child. The furry mascot character jumps on the woman's belly. The baby flies in the air. Brew catches it and then spikes the baby like a football. More from 2007 on that same page. A completely nonsensical monkey fucking cheese comic about he's just yelling milk and cereal, until the last panel where it's revealed the milk is breast milk from a naked woman.
Whoa.
Yeah. Another throwaway gag about Shrek in this one here. Joke is that, hey, Shrek's a bad role model, and also Donkey fucks him. That's the whole joke.
That's it. I feel like this is like the building blocks of a civilization that didn't know crop rotation.
Yeah, something really went wrong here. But then, 2008, a few more gag strips. You had, here's one, vegan man protecting a pig from getting slaughtered, but then the farmer slaughters vegan man. The pig giving the thumbs up there. The next one here, a goth girl on the internet commits suicide, and the guy on the webcam's last thing is, I can see down her shirt, as she's bleeding out from her wrists. But then, as 2008 wound on, they decided, in their infinite wisdom, that they're going to have a comic that takes itself very, very seriously. And so, the mascot character wants to kill Brew, but Brew's girlfriend Lisa shows up to stop him. The mascot character then shoots himself in the mouth, and then the Lisa character is crying over his headless corpse.
Yeah, just
very strange choices.
Very interesting. I do not wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
No, and then 2009, which was the last time we would see Brian Crumb and Chris Hall working together, the comic had turned into a slice of life comic about a college student trip trying to navigate his love life. Turned very wordy, turned very, Tim Buckley, and just turned into something completely different. And then they went on hiatus, the official reasoning of which was revealed in a post on shreddedmoose.com titled, "Whizzle My Dizzle." So you already know it's going to be great. It reads, "Right now I bet you're wondering what's up with the unusual page that's staring you in the face. I know that's what you're thinking because I have superhuman psychic powers that allow me to look into the minds of mortals and know the nature of the electrical impulses that surge across their synapses. I'm like one of the X-Men, like Charles Xavier, just not bald or old, and I can walk. What is going on is that Tripp and I are going to take a bit of a hiatus. To all of our readers, we want to thank you very much for including us in your list of webcomics over the days or years you've come here. The reason for taking this break is because we've gotten way too busy over the past couple months and don't have the time that we want to dedicate towards running the site the way we feel it should be run. Some odd 100 comics back, we started to shift Shredded Moose away from the one-shots comics towards more of a collection of story arcs. With the comic of September 21st, we reached a sort of conclusion to everything that was going on in the story thus far and felt now was the time. You're probably also wondering what's happened to all the comics. We thought about it, and came to the conclusion that leaving the site online without keeping it up to date didn't feel right. For example, if someone comes across a webcomic and discovers that the last post was from May of 2001, it's like, damn, what's up with this old shit? After more than 2.5 years of continuous updates, we wanted to avoid that. Thanks again to all of our readers, yada, yada, yada. So, this replaced the site in total. This was it. They took all the comics down. The only reason these comics that I have survived is because dedicated archivists took it upon themselves to save things. And so, Shredded Moose went into hiding for 5 or 6 years, until 2014. Now, in the meantime, the original comics writer, Brian Crumb, had moved on to become a successful children's book illustrator.
It's so fucking weird.
And so if you go look at some of his artwork, it's the most generic PBS Kids-ass artwork. But, he did stuff for books and comics, and he's been doing these, kids animations and kids drawings. And it's just, okay. Which makes total sense as to why you would want to get rid of Shredded Moose. It's not a great thing to have on your resume, I guess. He wants to run from it, and I really can't blame him. I would want to run from this comic, too, if I had anything to do with it. Well, unfortunately, Brew had other ideas. Brew decided that they were going to bring the comic back in 2014. Now, this just so happened to coincide with Brew's interest in Gamergate. Oh yeah, baby. So this here on the Shredded Moose Tumblr. ShreddedMoose.com is now sadly a parking lot for ads involving San Bernardino hookers. And I'm not paying for that damn server anymore. Okay, and then a rant about McDonald's making you shit. Oh, but it does open with, yes, we're back, baby. The world as we know it is a much different place than when we took our hiatus. 7 whole years is a long time. We had a lot of growing and macking bitches to do in the meantime.
That's
yes.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, just completely stupid. The first comic back is a comic about how McDonald's sucks. Real shit hours. He got really into Gamergate and complaining about gay shit. So here's one of the most infamous Shredded 14 is what they call it. It's not Shredded Moose, it's Shredded 14 comics. It depicts game developer Zoe Quinn in a bikini. And Brew saying, Depression Quest is such a non-video game, I can't even rate it on my site. The fake Zoe Quinn, how about you rate my performance instead? The Zoe Quinn character then filleting him and biting him. He's screaming youch, and then on the final panel, Kotabrew, a lingering reference to Kotaku, and the headline, Depression Quest, score F, this game bites.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And not content with pissing off Zoe Quinn once, he also had to take on the other Gamergate favorite target, that's right, Anita Sarkeesian. In this comic, titled What Gamers Really Want, Anita Sarkeesian, pointing at the audience, misogyny in video games is such a prevalent issue facing women today, much like FGM in the Middle East. That's female genital mutilation, for those of you playing along at home. Mm-hmm. The Zoe analog, I agree, Anita, sexism has infiltrated gaming heavily. How else could I sleep with 5 male chuckle fucks to give my game good reviews? The author self-insert character Brew piping up from the background, shut the fuck up and play video games. And both of them looking dismayed at the controllers. And Anita Sarkeesian saying, but I don't even like Vidya. And that right there is a clue to decoding this whole thing. The only people online at this time who called video games Vidya were 4chan insane people. And so it does appear that Brew and his new artist, who only went by SIHC, had fully immersed themselves in the ins and outs of Gamergate, and it only got stupider as time went on. Here's another Choice 2014 comic. A judge, I guess, with the white wig and the PC monitor for a face. Very early Skibbity Toilet stuff. In the court case of the century, Gamergate versus Shamergate, tensions are rising as both parties remain locked in a standstill. In the second panel, in the ace attorney pose, is none other than Milo Yiannopoulos, attorney at law. Didn't last very long with that one. And Vivian James, by the way, is another Tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's the character they call to the stand. That character was created as kind of a stand-in for the Gamergate insane people on 4chan, and there she is in the purple and green playing her Nintendo DS while the trial is supposed to be going on. The purple and green itself, a nice little reference to the Daily Dose. I don't know if you're familiar with the Daily Dose, Brian.
A little bit, but enlighten our listeners.
It is a repeating GIF of two Dragon Ball Z characters having what appears to be non-consensual anal sex with each other.
Ah, yes.
And so someone would post it, and then you would say, thanks, Doc, because that was your daily dose. People started banning that image on site, and so then abstractions would come in, and the most abstract one was just a purple pixel on top of a green pixel, and you immediately knew it was referencing Piccolo fucking Vegeta. It's got its own Know Your Meme page for people who want to go look this up. It's called The Daily Dose. Do your research. If you want to see the image, go for it, but it's a GIF of two Dragon Ball Z characters fucking. But that color scheme on Vivian James's skirt, or on the sweater, all that stuff is all tied up in 4chan lore and Gamergate, and so Brew lost his mind, got real nuts about Gamergate, but Shredded Moose ended again. No rhyme, no reason. No one really can even point to, if there a problem. Could he not afford to pay the artist, which was a going concern in the previous round? But like all good things, suddenly it came back yet again. There was a Tumblr called Shitty Webcomics. Now, unlike the Bad Webcomics wiki, Shitty Webcomics either really liked Shredded Moose or felt like they'd been treated unfairly, or they had some sort of bone to pick with the original creators, or, I don't know, maybe it was parody, maybe it was some other thing. I don't know. What came out was called Blended Goose 2 Bro. And it says it was Raid and shittywebcomics.tumblr.com are listed as the creators. Here are the two surviving comics that I could find. A lot of words in this one, but it does appear to be two guys running away from a horde of all the stereotypes about trans women and gay people. Oh no, these T-slur things are attacking. Let's run, John Campbell of Pictures for Sad Children. Yes, you're right, Gunner Krieg Court's Tom Siddell. We must summon the dark gods. Perhaps they can help us. In the second panel, they're nailing the door shut. I must sacrifice my printed books of Pictures for Sad Children. It's a shame to waste all the Kickstarter funding, but it is necessary to combat these strange T-slur creatures. And as they're burning the books in the final panel while killing themselves, Brew from the original Shredded Moose shows up with his eyes sewn shut where we're going. We won't need webcomics to see. Truly fucking foul.
Yeah, when you complain about streamers, remember what came before them was probably objectively worse.
Webcomics, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of these streamers, they show their faces, and they can be hunted down for sport. They can't hide behind a childish, emotionally stunted, misogynistic webcomic.
Right. Well, not for long, at least, yeah.
Yeah. What happened to that Stones Toss guy? Did someone push him into the fucking gorilla pit at the zoo yet?
Not yet. He and Tatsuya Yoshida of Sinfest are still putting out Nazi shit. And actually, that is the last one that I have from the Blended Goose 2 Bro comic. It is essentially the Brew character selling what appears to be a thinly veiled Anita Sarkeesian to Tatsuya Yoshida, author of Sinfest, for 160 grand. Tatsuya Yoshida depicted here as the horny old anime guy, but in like a Chinese military outfit. Him saying, "Don't worry, I'm one of you. The cause of feminism is mine as well." And in the last of 4 panels, "I'm Dave Chung from Chugworth Academy. For $160,000, will you split her with me? Heh heh heh." Tatsuya character, "Sounds good, sold." Anita Sarkeesian character, "Oh boy, 160,000. This sounds like a great deal." Now, that wouldn't really be worth noting except for the fact that Chugworth Academy is its own disgusting, misogynistic filth. It's a lot of questionable age play, a lot of things where there's racial stereotypes, there's vulgar drawing. So you want to split her with me, it might mean something else in David Chung's mind. A vile threat against a woman that did nothing but make a series of videos about feminism in video games.
Well, how dare she?
Yeah, well, that's true. I never found out what happened with Blended Goose 2 Bro. All I could find was a now-defunct Patreon and a couple of comics. And so some people were saying, well, maybe this is a parody of how extreme the comic eventually got about Gamergate. Like, yeah, but doesn't a parody have to be funny?
Yeah, or have some intentionality or anything.
A point of view, something.
Yeah, something to say. Who fucking knows?
So that is the saga of Shredded Moose. If you want to go way deep in the weeds, shreddedmooseproject.blogspot.com is still there for you. It was written about 10 years ago. It details a lot of the more insane things about fans pretending to be the artists squabbling with each other, a lot of internal infighting, but a lot of that stuff is not really relevant to the content, which is just, this is nasty, and it continues to be nasty the more it continues to go on. But if you want to get a good, nice, long read, go check that out. I will put that link in the show description because it is worth a read. Well, Brian, aside from the images of someone punting a baby like a football or trying to get their sperm back with a plunger, are you ready to see something else gross?
Yeah, sure.
All right, well, I am going to warn you, it is more vomit.
Oh, cool.
Sorry, it's shock.jpg.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Shock.jpg.
Are we ready to do this?
We are ready to do this. This one is just simply called Vomit Girl. It used to be hosted on Shock-chan, so you know it's of the highest quality. Almost immediately, puke on the boobs there.
The only shock video that compares is Bowl Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great audio here. Great Foley.
Oh.
Does what it says on the box.
Yeah, it's 2 women hanging out, one of them clothed, the other one not, the clothed one puking on the naked one, and then the camera pan there does a move down, and there's like, look at her shoes, they're covered. And it's just like, it's very strange. There's nothing really erotic happening. It's just, she's leaning over. This is like, I've seen people do this coming home from off-Broadway, from the rock club. It's just without the nudity.
Yeah, just puking, just kind of dispassionately.
Yeah, we're just leaning over and going, hey, Now, of course, our personal history with vomit is very different, and so I don't think vomit is as shocking as it used to be. But at the same time, for me, what makes that one is the nonchalance, is just like, oh yeah, this is, okay, hey, what's up?
Bleh.
Puke on my tits, I guess. Which is something I really hoped I would never have to say in my life, and yet here we are. I don't know, man. Puke videos is just, they got to step up their game if they want to compete, because
they really just they're not really grabbing me. The production values aren't really there.
No.
Who are what's the story? How am I supposed to care?
That is true. With a lot of these shock sites, a lot of the context is completely gone. You know, it's like, are they friends? Is this a stranger she just met and is like nude in front of? These are things I need to know. I care about this sort of thing. Or maybe I don't. I don't know. All right, well, I guess that means the sound of the squeaking nose honk means that it's time for the breath mint, Brian.
It's time for your mom's favorite part of the show. It's time for the breath mint.
Yes, it is.
Oh
Yes,
boy,
it is.
I
What
sure
you
could
got?
use one. I have what you heard me playing right as we started. The latest from Atlas USA, a potential dark horse late entry for Game of the Year 2024. If I hadn't already given it to Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, it would very much be Metaphor ReFantazio. Are you familiar with this? Have you heard of this?
I have. I've heard it's what if Persona was a little bit more woke? But
A
like,
little
in
bit.
Not in a not pejorative way, but it's like if Japanese devs got rid of some of their neuroses and maybe like kind of branched out in their subject matter.
Yeah. It does have a lot of stuff that if you've played Final Fantasy in the past 30 years, you'll feel right at home. There's all these different magical races, and there's a prince who's been under a curse, and you got to help him and all this stuff. And it's a medieval fantasy realm. That's the basics of it. The king is assassinated, and you got to go on a tour of the country, much like Final Fantasy 15. You got to go on a tour of the country to prove to everyone that you're worthy of being the king. And that kind of stuff is interesting, but what really gets me about these types of games is that much like Persona, much like a lot of the other spin-offs of the Shin Megami Tensei series, it's more about the characters and their relationships to each other. And this game has some really interesting ones. Former knights who have lost their glory. You've got, guys who used to be nobility and then they've kind of fallen from grace. You have a former soldier who everyone believes killed his son and he's been in hiding. And so there's all these interesting stories where you're kind of bringing these people from their darkest moments, and you and your journey are changing them and they're changing you by going with you. It's nice. I like the writing, and some of the fantasy stuff is kind of okay. It's been played out. The systems are great. There's kind of a job system where you learn these jobs as you go. Each job has different powers, yada, yada, yada. It's just the combination of things. The menus look good. The music's great. The voice acting's top-notch. And I think if you're looking for a fantasy game that includes like Hieronymus Bosch creatures as your enemies, you could do worse.
Sounds pretty good. Yeah, I as someone that's been still trying to play Persona 5 for like 6 years.
I know, it's a long game.
My complaint is I don't want to feel every single time I sit down to play this game I have to spend the exact same amount of time in a single session as I would be from driving from St. Louis to Denver.
That's fair. I mean, like, I get it. It's definitely a game that demands your time and attention. I will give you that. Yeah.
I wish I had that life still. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I guess your children are at that age where you can neglect them. So
it's less about that and just about the fact that like they're teens, they have things that they want to do that don't involve me, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll sneak in like a half hour here, a half hour there, or everyone goes to bed at like 10, and so I'm like, oh well, I'll go game for a bit. And then I wind up staying up till 3. So, it's not good for me. How about yourself, sir? What do you got for us this week?
Not too much. I mean, we haven't recorded for a couple weeks because last week I was sick, and now this week you're a little under the weather.
I know. That's something, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really sorry to say I wasn't like the kind of sick where I was able to like get anything done that I like wanted. I've been putting off because I've been so busy. Like, I still have like a shit ton of laundry to put up. I still have tons of photos to edit. It was like the kind of sickness where all you really have the capacity and bandwidth for is just like rot in bed and like doom scroll. And so all of the social media apps, the algorithms really don't know what to do with me. I keep getting like on Facebook. One day it was all sneakerhead shit. Like, I was just getting shit from sneakerhead pages, and they're just, like, really bad, humorless gag jokes, and you really start understanding, like, I don't understand, for me, like, I don't understand how people can have just, like, a slop page on Facebook or Instagram and make a ton of money.
Yeah.
But apparently you can. You can just, like, steal shit from other pages, rehost it.
Yeah.
And you'll get 100,000 views, and you're just okay. And I guess you do that every day. I don't know.
It's got to be automated.
And then one day it decided that one of the algorithms decided that I was really into like 1970s custom van culture.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I'm intrigued. So what did it show you? Like Frank Frazetta ass
just like dudes, just like guys who definitely have lost their license at one point in their life, talking about like, yeah, here's like my my early '80s Ford something other, and like, you know, just redid the chrome trim on it, and I mean, shit was cool. Also, just seemed really weird that I was getting served that, and Instagram thinks I'm like a 25-year-old like bartender that's really into fashion or something. I don't know. Like I've got to like reset all of my ad stuff because I don't know what I did. I don't know if like I dozed off while scrolling and somewhere in the algorithm thought because I stopped on that was like where my eyeball hours need to be, like on that type of content.
Yeah. That's
but
bizarre.
I'm like, I really don't want this. I'm not like a guy that wears fancy like patent leather shoes or some shit. I barely put on clothes well enough to be in society. That's just kind of like where I've been at. But as far as stuff that I was able to just entertain myself with, I did decide at one point that I felt well enough to revisit the abysmal David Lindelof Watchmen Limited series.
Okay.
I thought that because I felt that show originally had such a shitty thesis and was such a bizarre, half-baked, knee-jerk reaction to what was going on in the larger culture here in the United States at the time. I thought that some distance from that would give it some levity.
Yeah.
And it's just as bad. It's just as shitty. I don't know if this show is pro-cop or anti-cop. I don't know if it's pro-fascist or anti-fascist. I don't even know if David Lindelof knows if this thing that he asked Atticus Fitch and Trent Reznor to soundtrack, if he even knows what that show is about. But I did realize just how much of the story beats are little parts of the story are just echoes from the original, but without any good context or rhythm. Like how, like, oh yeah, there's a news guy and he's like kind of dressed old timey, but there's really not much else other than that. Then there's this really like outdated trope character, and then the stuff with the egg at the end. Fuck, man, it's just
the spoiler hook or the sequel hook definitely left me a little cold there.
And for me as well, the fact that who was it they got to play Ozymandias? I forget who that.
That's Jeremy Irons.
Yes, Jeremy Irons. This is Jeremy Irons is just like playing a character from he's just like a jug hooter.
Yeah.
You know, he just like he should be wearing like overalls with one band off.
Yeah.
He's just like a jug. He's just like a fucking. He's just give him a jet ski. I'm not wrong, am I?
No, not necessarily. I mean, considering how many other character actors are in that, I'm trying to think who else was. Louis Gossett Jr. Let's see, Tim Blake Nelson, who always kind of plays that kind of jug hooter character. Don Johnson, also another guy that I always think of as kind of like playing the Southern fella. And I know it takes place in Oklahoma, but it's still like, I don't know, man. Does Ozymandias have to be that too? It is out of place. It is a little strange.
Yeah, it just doesn't have. I don't feel like it has like an identity. It really just this had no reason to exist.
Yeah, I mean, and everyone wants to kidnap Dr. Manhattan, and it's like, but why? It's never really explained.
So they could be God.
Yeah, but again, what is that gonna?
Yeah.
It's too many questions.
Tim Blake Nelson apparently also directed a couple music videos for Billy Woods,
which makes sense.
That's interesting. I had no idea.
But yeah, I think they left Alan Moore's names off the credits of that show.
Yeah.
Because he said, I'm not happy with this.
Well, he wasn't happy with the movie and like did not want to take any residuals.
I feel like Lindelof is so hit or miss. Like sometimes his shit kicks ass. I liked The Leftovers. I don't know what you thought.
Haven't watched it because this was enough to turn me off of David Lindelof forever.
Oh man.
And a lot of the commentary, a lot of the think pieces that accompanied this show also were just kind of like, yeah, I think this dude's done. Like, or people that had a suspicion that this guy had like a really limited runway. Like, you thought M. Night Shyamalan had a real bad shelf life.
I don't know, man. He's got such an interesting, like he came up during the Lost era of TV, so he's got that under his belt. But I mean, he also, if I remember correctly, he was involved in that Once Upon a Time show, which I didn't necessarily care for, but some people dug it. He did at least one pass on Ridley Scott's Prometheus.
Oh, he co-wrote Cowboys and Aliens.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, he did.
The his Wikipedia photo looks like a guy who is just realizing that he's about to be shot by a stranger on the street. He's just got that concerned look on his face, like, oh, I'm about to get mugged.
Yeah.
Which is how he should feel every single time he leaves the house.
Well, I don't know if you ever saw it, but Mrs. Davis, that's another one of his shows. I liked that one quite a bit, but again, that's more recent. It's got Betty Gilpin. I don't know. Anyway, it's one of those ones where like either you love it or you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I can't say David Lindelof, more like David Lindell. No.
Yeah. But speaking of shows you're either really into or not, and also speaking of people from Lost, I wrapped up just last night the 3rd season of the MGM Plus exclusive, simply titled From. Have you heard of this? Are you familiar with this?
I didn't even know there was something called MGM whatever.
Yeah, so MGM Plus, much like Paramount Plus, is a studio trying to milk some stuff off of its known name. Well, their one exclusive show is this one, also created by one of the guys who worked on Lost, Jack Bender. It also stars Harold Perrineau, who played Michael on Lost. He's one of the main characters there. But it's such an ensemble piece. You got a lot of folks in there. Just a real dope cast. 3 seasons now. They just wrapped up their latest a couple months ago, I want to say. I don't know, man. I think From is one of those ones where it's a mystery box show that as it goes on, yes, the mysteries get kind of weirder and stupider, but they also get more interesting and horror movie-like. It kind of feels like a Stephen King thing where just a bunch of subplots are piling up on top of each other. There's a phantom pregnancy in this one. The police chief is experiencing Parkinson's, so now he's like really ready to pass on his legacy to the Chinese guy. I don't know. It's got a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of moving parts. I think it's one of those ones where, I don't know, if it doesn't grab you by the first episode, sure, makes sense. But the whole purpose, you're familiar with this show, right? I've told you about this?
No, not at all.
No, not at all. Okay, so the basic plot is that a family is driving on a trip somewhere else. They come across a tree across the road. They turn around and go back, and then they wind up in this town that they can't escape from. Everyone in the town is like, get inside, because at night monsters show up. It's kind of a setup that's been done before, but the cast, the acting, all that stuff kind of takes it above and beyond. So I can recommend it. Don't get MGM Plus for it. See what you can that's on YouTube or wherever you can find it. But I think it's worthwhile. It definitely grabs me every time I catch a new season of it. It's one of those ones, though, like, you tell people what it is, and they're like, well, what's it called? It's called From. Yeah, but from what? No, fuck, God damn it. The name of the show is From. Like, there was a show like that a couple years ago. It was called They. It was like, I think that was an Amazon one, where it was They. Like, okay. It was supposed to be a play on Jordan Peele's Us. They.
Yes.
Oh, no, Them. The TV series is called Them. So Us and Them, which is by itself also great. It's an anthology. That one's an anthology show. So each season tells a different story. But another one where you'd be like, somebody will tell you about it and you'll go, The fuck is that? What the fuck do you mean, them? You mean the Ant movie from the 50s?
Had no idea.
TV shows with one-word titles that aren't, like, Lost. Just your brain will just skip over them. I saw something the other day that reminded me of this entire show called The Lost Girl. It was a show about a succubus. And it went for like 4 seasons. I'm like, oh yeah, I watched that, and it's gone from my memory. Barely recall it. Sometimes the title is important. And I don't know that from is it.
I don't know either. I mean, it sounds like an interesting premise. Sounds like they also could have done more with the concept.
And I think they do eventually as the show goes on. But yeah, initially it starts like, okay, I've seen Castle Rock. I know how these kinds of shows go. But it definitely tries some things, and I appreciate that. That's always nice. But I'm looking forward to hopefully getting started on Shogun. That's my next show I want to sink my teeth into. We started it once, and my wife said, can we watch a show that's in English, please? It's like, fuck, all right.
Yeah, I've heard Shogun's really good.
Yeah?
I've been told I should watch it, so maybe I will at some point.
Excellent. Well, I guess that means it's about time to tell people where to find you online, Brian. Where can they find you and tell you all the things you've done wrong in this life?
They can find me over on Twitter at ishotgydbord, ishotgydbord. Over on Instagram at amusicphotographer. If you want to check out my portfolio, it's assholemusicphotographer.com. There's another website that, fuck if I'll ever get that working, so I ain't even going to mention it.
Nope.
If you want to check out the last and only good music website in St. Louis, or media website in St. Louis, head over to thearts.stl.com. Over there, they're posting tons of end-of-year stuff, some really cool content, some great photos, some great articles about records and movies, and even like romance novels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people are getting pretty creative. Got a good broad cross-section of individuals contributing to that online publication, so give it a shot. That is theartsstl.com. Jason, where can I tell you that you are lame and smell weird?
Well, you can do that a number of places, most of which is basically going to be blue sky for me right now. That's video crime. Any place there is a video crime, chances are that's going to be me, including Letterboxd, and like I said, pretty much anywhere. I also appear on a podcast called Submitted for the Approval of the Midnight Pals. There I play a fictionalized version of Stephen King. Those episodes are coming out by the time this airs. Midnight-pals.simplecast.com or anywhere fine podcasts are sold. You can reach the show in a number of ways. My personal favorite is the telephone, 314-246-9766. That's 314-AHOY POO. Shoot us an email, jason at 48minutesofdogsbarking.com or Brian with a Y at the number 4, the number 8 minutesofdogsbarking.com. And let us know what you think of the show or detail what ways you want us to die. That would be nice. You can support the show, patreon.com/48minutesofdogs. There you can find our weekly post-show hangout that we call Thanks, I Hate It. Some weird experimental episodes that we call The Mind Zone. And you can sign up for the punishment tier, which is obviously our most expensive tier, but it does enable you to get some exclusive content like the 90-minute Puke Fetish video commentary track for Garo Monster Home Delivery, and whatever else it is that we decide to punish ourselves with this year. We haven't decided it yet, so feel free to send those emails. Leave us a voicemail, shoot us a text. If you think of a way for us to punish ourselves, let us know, and you'll get thanked, obviously, in the episode, and so forth. Well, that about does it for the show. As we always say at this time, namaste, good luck, give mommy a good gut fucking, 25th Amendment now, eat the knife, who ate all the pussy, and milk and cereal, cereal and milk.
Nasty.
Yeah.